It's the Poojie Podcast, proudly sponsored by Cimarron Golf Club. What is going on, Pooch Crew? Thanks for being here for episode 95. If you're new to watching or listening, please subscribe and follow on your preferred podcast platform. If you're watching on YouTube, please comment, like, share it with whoever, golf fans, sports fans, just podcast fans, people that get bored at home and want to watch whatever. You're probably here because you heard about me. I'll chug a beer every episode at the beginning. That's not going to happen this episode. It'll happen next episode. You got to tune back in next episode for me to chug a beer. I'll do that next episode. You'll see it. But we're here today just going to have some fun. We obviously got some big news coming up in golf, a lot of to unpack actually in the world of golf. We'll welcome in Mike and Key as well. We got both these guys here. You'll remember them from the Masters preview and TPC preview, where Key actually hit the JT winner on the head for TPC. Kyle, are you back to maybe give us another winner for the U.S. Open?
Yeah, I mean, you take a dark horse like JT, not a lot of people had eyes on him, and you hit that on the head. The people expect a lot of you. So I'm going to try to stay sharp this week.
You set the bar high. Mike, what about you? I mean, we've had some struggles when we've done our predictions. Are you looking to bounce back this week?
Yeah, the Masters predictions went pretty sour for me. I had Tony Finau somewhere in the mix, and he was at home mixing something in the blender.
Yeah,
no mix on the PGA.
I'm glad you actually mentioned that about mixing something in the blender. I was with some friends this weekend. We were out by the pool just hanging out, drinking, and we started the debate. We had seltzers versus beers. Are you guys more seltzers or beers? What's the drink of choice for you guys?
I like seltzer.
You seltzer? Kyle?
It's easier in the sun, I think. I don't know.
Yeah. To me, it's 6 of one, half dozen of the other. But, I like Modelo's at the pool, but I'm also a big fan of High Noon. So,
there you go.
Could go either way.
Yeah, and I'll say this. High Noon Tropical 8-pack variety pack just came out. Actually, they got mango and passion fruit in there. Both pretty good flavors as well. And actually, I'm not a big fan of grapefruit anything, but I like grapefruit High Noon, so I actually do crush those, to be honest with you. And they have them at a lot of bars, but you can't go wrong with a beer. They're both pretty refreshing. I just wanted your thoughts on that. But Torrey Pines, first U.S. Open at Torrey Pines since the infamous 2008 Torrey Pines U.S. Open, where we saw Tiger Woods win in a playoff against Rocco Mediate, just one of the classic U.S. Opens of all time. Mike, you had just mentioned you kind of watched some of that recently. Take us back. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, flipped on golf's greatest rounds 2008, and Torrey Pines, Rocco Mediate in his Sunday red, and Tiger Woods in his Sunday red, and they were going battle it out. 18-hole playoff. I was just talking to you, Justin, about the new format of the playoff at the U.S. Open, and unfortunately, it's not the 18 holes like it used to be. What was the new format?
It's a 2-hole aggregate. They play the 10th and the 18th, so aggregate after that, and then I'm sure they continue on if it's still tied. So I think that's kind of how it goes. Do you guys think we'll see a playoff this year, right? Like, golf is so competitive, and I know that's always a prop bet. Will the tournament be decided in a playoff? You think there's a chance for a playoff, or you think someone just pulls away?
I'm really hoping so. I'm a huge fan of playoffs in golf, especially sudden death style, but this one will be interesting to see if they run the 18th and the 10th.
Kyle, what about you, man?
I mean, I always like, extra golf, so I'm rooting for a playoff. But like last week, we should have had a playoff. And, yeah, like you mentioned, it's been pretty competitive this season so far. A lot of parity. And then I feel like when you have a course, like how the U.S. Open typically plays, it's a lot lower or, I guess higher scores.
Yeah.
Usually someone doesn't run away like they will in some of the other tournaments.
Yeah, closer to even par, which back in, I think it was 2000, Tiger won by, I want to say, 15 strokes in his first U.S. Open, which was unbelievable. Won that. I think that might have been at Pebble Beach, I want to say. And then he won another U.S. Open by 6 strokes, which was up there with margin of victory. And then the one, obviously, against Rocco Mediate, his score was 1 under par. So, that's typically what you get out of U.S. Open is that 1 under par score. Before we get further into the U.S. Open, what do you guys think of the PGA Championship with Phil Mickelson winning? You think he has a chance this week at the U.S. Open? You think that was just a feel-good story?
I have Phil in my top 20. Yeah. Little spoiler alert. I do have him in the top 20. I think he'll be sniffing around on Sunday, but I don't think he's got it to get it done this time. But yeah, spoiler alert there, top 20, Phil, book it.
I think the interesting thing with Phil and playing this course, like Kyle just said, the rough is so long. If it takes it out of you, you really do need that strength to play this course. He does have some good accuracy off the tee, but I do think that fatigue could catch up to him closer to day 3, day 4 if he is missing fairways, because you're chopping through a forest and not just a first cut like at a typical course that you would play. That fatigue might catch up to him. But I thought it was pretty awesome. And let's be real, he's like in the best shape of his life, and he's out there competing with these guys and proving Bryson wrong. It's awesome. He hit the longest drive out there at the PGA Championship, which was awesome. And then Kyle, you mentioned this last week, the new South African on tour. I think it's Garrig Higo. Dude, so Chesson Hadley bogeys the last 4 holes, and Higo just has to sit there and watch the collapse. And then meanwhile, Hudson Swafford and Harris English, who are like buddies, they collapse as well. Everyone was just falling off, and he just sat there and watched it happen and then won. And his reaction on the driving range after it happened was classic. He was like, "Are you serious? I just played my round, and that was it."
Yeah, never rooting for people to mess up, especially that bad. And I don't think any player wants to kind of back into a win like that. But for his first PGA win, and they were talking about how now he's going to possibly qualify for the Olympics as the second-ranked South African.
Do you know who he would be behind?
Louis. And then Christian, I don't know how to say his last name.
Bezuijo.
He was ranked ahead of Higo, but then I think Higo jumped him with that, which is crazy that, his first win might project him into the Olympics.
Higo just kind of sounds like a nickname, but it's actually his last name. But I just like calling him Higo anyway. Higo.
There's a lot of South African golfers that are really good. I've been saying it for a couple months now, just because every tournament there's a couple near the top, and I don't know what they're doing down there, but they are definitely on a tear.
Yeah, it'll be fun to actually. I know there's a lot going on with the Olympics right now, and I'll probably put something else out about that, but it'll be fun to watch the Olympics with that whole storyline of Hideki Matsuyama, going back to Tokyo and playing at the course that he qualified at to play in his first Masters, 15 years ago. It's just a pretty cool storyline. So that'll be a lot of fun to get into. It is kind of ironic that Hadley had a 4-shot lead going into Sunday, because just a week ago, Rahm had a 6-shot lead before he had to withdraw, and I claimed that as an insurmountable lead. Well, then here we saw a 4-shot lead go by the wayside. What did you guys think of the whole Jon Rahm COVID withdrawal situation? Kyle, we'll start with you.
Yeah, really unfortunate for him. Unprecedented, obviously. Try to handle it the best they could. If he's ranked 60, if he's tied 60, tied 70, tied.
I think we lost him. Mike, you might want to jump in.
I disagree. I think that they handled it exceptionally poorly. Just as the NCAA did, I feel like they looked for any way for the NCAA women to not play, and I feel like the tour didn't do enough to try to find a way for Jon Rahm to get around in. Golf is not a contact sport. He could have gone out before everybody else. He doesn't have to be next to his caddy. He doesn't have to be with anybody else. He could have gone out, had a round of golf, put up a score, and then let everybody try to chase that score. And I think that's how they should have done it. Like I said,
carry his own bag though. Be his own caddy.
Ooh. So, like I said, you don't necessarily have to come into contact with your caddy. You can have discussions with them. You can have an AirPod in, right? You can have those discussions from 3 to 6 feet away, right? Isn't that what CDC says? 6 feet.
Yeah, but how do you get a club? Then he grabs the club and hands it to you.
Puts it on the ground and walks away. Puts it on the ground, walks away like a pizza delivery guy.
Could you imagine? What do you think Jon Rahm would have said if they said, "Hey, if you want to walk your round," you think he would have said no?
No, he would have done it for sure.
Yeah, he would have done it.
Yeah,
he would have done it.
No, I agree. But then it comes down to, okay, how are you bending the rules for this unique situation just because he's winning the golf tournament by 6? The protocol was in place, and I think every player is aware of the protocol. And if this happens, this is what happens. My thought was it was just an extremely unfortunate thing that he was in first place by a mile. If he was, like Kyle was saying, if he was in 50th or barely, scraping at the bottom, no one would have blinked an eye at him withdrawing. No one would have thought differently. It would have been a big name withdrawing, but it was the fact that he was in the lead. Now, Mike, to your point, yeah, go out there and play around at 5, 6 a.m. before anyone else touches the golf course. Finish your round and go in the clubhouse. But it's like how much can you bend the rules? Was that even in play, or was this one of those things where there hasn't been a COVID case on tour for like 3 months that they were just like, oh God, we don't want to make the wrong decision here and have the sports media and the sports world criticize us even more for making the wrong decision?
Yeah, I mean, it also comes down to I guess not necessarily forcing the players, but aggressively asking the players to get vaccinated, I think. And I don't necessarily think that John Rahm, he might have been anti-vax. So there's a lot of other fun conspiracies to argue about.
Yeah.
I mean, I just don't think that they did enough to try to find a way for John Rahm to walk away with $2 million, right?
And the other weird thing was the first positive test came out at 4 p.m. and then they had a confirmatory test come out at 6:30. So even when they were thinking that he was positive, they still let him play on the golf course for the remainder of his round. They weren't too concerned for the final 9 holes. And it's like at that point, if anyone caught COVID, it would have already happened. You taking him off the golf course on the last day isn't really going to change much. I guess there's volunteers involved. There's obviously spectators around. It's obviously just a hairy story, but he is out of COVID protocol, and he's actually back for the U.S. Open, and he's, I think, the favorite by betting odds. He is the favorite with this golf course. Weirdly enough, the PGA Tour has already played at Torrey Pines earlier this year, the Farmers Insurance Open, so that doesn't happen too often where they play the same course twice for a regular tournament and then for a major tournament. Is there any reason to take the February tournament into account when looking at the U.S. Open conditions for this tournament, Kyle?
I would say to an extent, for sure. People that are comfortable there, have played there before, are going to have an advantage. I would say that knowing how the PGA Tour, sets up the U.S. Open, I'm sure the rough's a lot longer. Also February versus now, the grass is definitely going to be, a lot greener, a lot more grown in. I'm sure they'll have the greens rolling pretty quickly. So I'd say to an extent, as far as being familiar with the course and comfortable, but, I think there's also going to be some other factors that come into play.
Yeah, that'll definitely be fun to watch. It's kind of like we talked about with Augusta, how they played it in November last year and then playing it, at its normal time this year. It does completely change the course a lot. Mike, where does this rank on your hierarchy of tournaments when it comes down to the majors or even whatever it might be, Waste Management, TPC? Where does this rank? Does this weekend excite you?
Not as much as the Open Championship. I would say that out of the 4 majors, I would rank this one at a tie for last. I would put it right next to the players almost. In regards to the field, in regards to the atmosphere. And you said Waste Management, nothing beats the atmosphere on the 16th hole at the Waste Management. So, yeah, the U.S. Open is great and it's fun. It's almost like we have the Open Championship, and then the United States was like, well, we need to have a major too. So we're going to have the U.S. Open. So, yeah. But it's exciting because it's one of the best fields in golf, and I think that's what really, I guess, gets everybody's engines revving is seeing all the big names, hopefully at the top of the leaderboard, because we unfortunately did not get to see that last week with Higo winning. Yeah. So looking forward to some big names this week.
Yeah, it seemed like a lot of the big name players took the week off, except Dustin Johnson I saw played, and he was
That's right.
He was right there at the top, and he was one that kind of fell off too. And I don't even know if the course was playing extremely difficult or if it was just a lot of like younger guys, amateur guys that just couldn't close on Sunday. But it is weird. The U.S. Open does always seem to overshadow the PGA Championship as far as the majors go. It always seems like the U.S. Open holds a higher prestige. I love the Open Championship as well, especially as an American. I think it's so fun to be able to watch these guys play on those conditions that you'll see on the European Tour every single week. Kyle, what about you, man? Father's Day weekend, U.S. Open golf. Where does it rank for you? Where's the excitement meter at right now?
Yeah, I love the U.S. Open because of how tough they make it, the course. And, they want the golfers to struggle and they want it to be tricky. Kind of with Mike, though, I mean, I love the Open Championship. It's on early in the morning. The windy conditions, kind of a different style course over there than what they normally play here. So obviously the Masters is number one. I'd say this and the PGA Championship are kind of tied for third, if you will. But, not to discredit it, it's not by a lot. I just, I like the Open Championship for the fact that it's so early in the morning and the type of course.
It is awesome waking up, just maybe even not going to bed, whatever. You just stay up and then you just sleep on Saturday. Make sure your weekend is clear that weekend for the Open Championship. So let's get into some storylines or some picks for this week for the U.S. Open at Torrey Pines. I'm excited. It's a course a lot of us are familiar with, and just being able to watch in those conditions and a lot of big names like we've mentioned. Let's kind of go through maybe one by one and do our top 20s. Mike, we'll start with you. A guy top 20 for you. I think you maybe already hinted at him.
Yeah, so the spoiler alert from earlier is Phil. Obviously, if you've been living under a rock, he's got the PGA Championship under his belt. I think that he does thrive with a short game. Not a lot of people are going to be able to get up and down like he is, even with the rough around the greens. And he's a fantastic putter. So I feel like Phil is a pretty secure lock for the top 20 this week. I wouldn't put him any higher than that, though.
Yeah, no, Phil, it'll be fun to watch him. Obviously, a guy, I think he's finished runner-up at the U.S. Open 5 times, I want to say.
Yeah, that's right.
And he's kind of, getting to the point where if he doesn't win now, when will he win that tournament? And is it too late already for him to complete the career Grand Slam? There's been some heartbreaking Phil runner-ups in the U.S. Open, too. And anyone that's watching this afterward, just go to YouTube and look it up because it's not fun. But maybe he can carry some momentum from the PGA, and he just seems like a different golfer right now. Kyle, what about you? A top 20 lock for you?
I'm going with one of my favorite golfers, Webb Simpson. He is a former U.S. Open winner. I think he won in 2012. His odds to win the tournament are kind of long, plus 550. He hasn't had the best year, but, it's a consistent guy, someone that can hit the ball well, and he's a solid putter. And again, just kind of one of my favorite golfers. So I think the top 20 is a safe bet for him.
Yeah. No, he'll be fun to watch. He hasn't really been on the radar as often as we've been used to seeing. He's always a pretty consistent top 20 guy week in and week out. He's been kind of quiet recently. I'm going to go with 2019 U.S. Open winner Gary Woodland as my top 20 lock. And I think you can actually get some really good value on that pick. He had a hip surgery at the end of 2020, or a hip injury that kind of resulted in some time off and some rehab. He started this season extremely slow, was off the front page of every leaderboard, but he's since actually kind of fought back. He's had some really good finishes in recent months. So I think that he's going to kind of use that big game experience to kind of step up to the plate, almost like a poor man's Brooks Koepka, I would say, when it comes major time for Gary Woodland. I think he kind of hits a different spark or a different, speed when it comes to the majors. So I'll go with Gary Woodland there. Mike, let's go with you. A top 10 lock for you, U.S. Open.
So I'm going with the guy that just missed a putt a couple of weeks ago to extend, and that would be Colin Morikawa. If you've seen it once, you've seen it twice. Somewhere in the world, Daniel Berger was laughing that he missed another putt to essentially not win on the PGA Tour. But I think that Colin locks it in this week and locks in a top 10 placement. I don't know that I would go any higher than that, but if you're betting and you want to put $20 on him, I think that's a safe play. Top 10 Morikawa.
And I like that because he's a California boy too. He's used to that environment, and I think he's won a tournament out there on the West Coast in California already. If he hasn't, he's come very close. He plays well out there on the West Coast. And you referenced that missed putt against Patrick Cantlay a few weeks ago. Who Patrick Cantlay, he needed a break or two himself. He's been kind of, teetering right there, top 5, top 10 for a while. He needed to get a victory as well. And I think I remember that tournament you're talking about with the Daniel Berger missed putt with Colin Morikawa. Was it Morikawa missed the putt against Berger? Is that what it was?
That's right. It was, I think, maybe Kyle knows. I think it was the first tournament back from.
Yeah, it was one of the first ones back after.
Yeah.
I think the U.S. Open was first, and then this might have been like one after that or something.
Okay.
That's right. Yeah.
I remember watching that.
Yeah, Daniel Berger took the W.
Oh, no, it was the first, the Charles Schwab Challenge last year.
That's right. Yeah, and it was a playoff hole. I'm pretty sure it was the first playoff.
Well, I think. Oh yeah, you might be right.
And he missed like a 3-footer.
Yep, I do remember that.
That 3-footer, I feel like if he's gonna make that 10 out of 10 times.
I know
from now on, or so we thought. And then he missed another one here 2 weeks ago. So
well, putting's gonna be big. Putting's gonna be big on this course. So hopefully he can get it together. Kyle, what about you? Top 10 lock.
Yeah, it's funny Mike mentions that too, because I had money on Colin to win 2 weeks ago, and John Rahm was so far ahead, I thought I was done, and then he gets disqualified, and next up is Colin Morikawa. So I was watching that, and then, of course, he ended up losing, so that was tough. But for me, top 10, again, another favorite of mine, Will Zalatoris. I've been picking him to win pretty much every tournament he's played this year. I think he's going to hit one of them. He played here in February, I believe, at Torrey Pines and finished tied for 7th. Again, kind of interesting looking at an odds standpoint. He's plus 4,500, so he's got a little shorter odds than some previous U.S. Open winners. I think that kind of speaks volumes about what's kind of expected of Will Zalatoris now that he's kind of made a name for himself. So going with him top 10, he's pretty much made every cut. He's, every tournament he's played in. And I think he hits the ball well enough and I don't know if you've ever seen his shot tracer, but the ball doesn't move. It's impossible to hit it as straight as he does. And he just keeps the ball in play. And I don't know, like I've said before, sometimes being young and naive can help you in these situations.
Yeah.
In these big tournaments.
Not overthinking it, not being too shy of the big stage. And you talk about him hitting the ball dead straight. I sometimes videos? Yeah. I sometimes question why golfers do so much shot shaping. I know a lot of the greens are different and the fairways are different, but I'm like, man, if you are that good, just hit it as straight as you possibly can and you'll never be in trouble. You'll just hit it as straight as you can, just boom. And Zalatoris does that. Yeah, he finished 6 strokes off the lead in February, but he was only 2 shots out of sole possession for second. So he finished at 8 under in that tournament behind a few guys that had tied for second. My top 10, I'm going to go with another guy. I guess this is kind of like my tournament where a lot of sleepers are going to kind of wake up, and it's going to be Daniel Berger, a guy that has not really played well at all this season. But again, like Gary Woodland, I think there's going to be a tipping point where the experience kind of takes over, and I think Daniel Berger is going to hit it here in a situation where he's kind of a quieter, not a favorite, a quieter pick for the tournament. I think he's going to kind of step up to the plate and take a top 10 at Torrey Pines. And then, Mike, for a top 5 for you, what do you got?
I have Rory. Simple as that. Rory finds his way up the leaderboard. Maybe not as much lately as Brooks does in the majors, but I think that Rory has the strength and the ability to shot shape around Torrey Pines. I think that he missed out a lot of good golf at like the Farmers Insurance. I think that he's a top 5 guy this week. Not a winner, but still pretty close to a lock-in. I feel like. Yeah,
he's actually kind of been pretty weird. There's been tournaments where I've seen him miss the cut by a few strokes, and then there's been tournaments. Didn't he win a month and a half ago or so? He won recently, right?
Well, he went through that sort of lull after the Arnold Palmer where he was sort of trying to chase the distance that Bryson was putting together. And so he talked about that in an interview of how he's trying to swing a little bit harder, maybe because other people, other outside sources are influencing his swing. So I think that after this last week off, I think he'll get back into a groove that he's comfortable with, and I think he'll play his own game. So top 5 for Rory for sure.
Yeah, for sure. No, I like it. I mean, he's obviously if he's on his game, he's on his game, and he can put 4 rounds together just like that and take the field by storm. Kyle, what about you for a top 5?
I got the champion of the Farmers Insurance tournament, which is Patrick Reed for top 5. Yeah, I know not everybody's favorite. I've always liked him. He's actually a pretty good putter and pretty solid around the green. So hoping that'll kind of play into his hand. And then again, just being here in February, comfortable with the course. I don't know if he's going to win again. That'd be interesting to look up because they don't normally play the same course twice in a year. So I wonder if that's ever happened. But yeah, Patrick Reed, top 5. I do like the Rory pick though. I feel like people kind of forget about him because he did go through a weird kind of year there of just, missed cuts and stuff. So I do like that pick.
He's a new dad. He's got responsibilities other than golf now,
Yeah.
Yeah, he can't just go out to the golf course
Yeah.
after work or
And be
something.
missing cuts.
He's got a diaper to change.
Yeah. No, I like P. Reed. He obviously won. I think it was by pretty handedly. It was either 5 or 6 strokes in February at the Farmers Insurance. 14 under was the winning score there. I highly doubt 14 under is going to be hit this year at Torrey Pines or at this tournament with the U.S. Open setup. Excuse me, sorry. But my top 5 is going to be Jon Rahm. I think this is about as sure of a lock as it can get. He was extremely asymptomatic during the whole COVID thing. I don't think he's lost any physical attributes at all during the whole situation. So I think he's going to have some fire in his eyes getting back out there, a little pissed off about losing that win a few weeks ago, having to withdraw. He's played extremely well over the last month and a half, and been in contention in a lot of tournaments. So my top 5 lock is going to be Jon Rahm this week. And then Mike, let's go to you for the winner of the U.S. Open, the big money right here. Who is your winner?
2021 U.S. Open winner is Dustin Johnson. That guy's got the strength. He's going to make the putts. He's going to hit the drives. It was honestly, it was kind of close. I wanted to say Brooks because Brooks is always in the top 2. I think that Dustin Johnson's got it. Are you laughing because you picked him too? Are you laughing because that was just of course Dustin Johnson, world number 1.
Well, I kind of like the bold prediction there. You just go and Dustin Johnson 1, Brooks Koepka 2, and you just subtly slid that in there. So.
Well, I got an even more bold prediction for who's missing the cut this week, but we'll get to that in a second.
Yeah, we'll get there. All right, so we got DJ, who was obviously at the top of the leaderboard this last week, which I get players taking a week off before a major tournament. I understand it, wanting to rest up, but I actually kind of like the tactic of playing the week before and keeping your body, in shape and kind of in that routine. And we talk about it a lot in other sports where teams sweep a series of the playoffs and they kind of get out of that routine of, waking up and maybe they have 2 days off. Or even in the NFL, the teams that get the first round bye, they don't, they might not be playoff ready come the second round. So, I like that pick. That'll be interesting to see how he performs here. Kyle, what about you for your winner for the U.S. Open?
I am going with Brooks.
Brooksy.
Shocking.
I like him. Hits the ball well. He's been playing well. So did he end up? He did have surgery, right? A couple months ago. Did he have?
Yeah, he had knee surgery 2 months ago.
Yeah. So I'm sure that's probably still lingering, but it seems like he's kind of up and running just fine. He always shows up on the big stage. I think everything going on with him and Bryson and this and that, I just think he loves it, and I think he feeds off the fans. And there is going to be fans there, correct?
Yeah.
So I think kind of all that is what he really likes most about golf and playing in these tournaments is just, all eyes on him and the crowd rooting for him. And, like I said, just the Brooks versus Bryson and all that.
Yeah, the PGA Championship was his first tournament, I think, back from the knee surgery. And it was like, wow, what are you doing? You're actually going to play? Well, he actually said that where it really caught up to him was on the greens. He couldn't get down and read his putts like he normally did because his knee surgery. He said everything else was fine. He said he just couldn't. And if you remember on that Sunday, he was missing weird putts like 5-footers. He was, I think he actually was worst in the field in strokes lost, or actually worst in strokes gained. He was like +3, which was unbelievable. He was playing well elsewhere. So hopefully the knee's fine. What do you guys think about the whole Brooks and Bryson thing and people getting kicked out for calling him Brooksy and all this stuff? Like, what do you guys think of all that?
Oh, I'll let Kyle go first.
I mean, I like Bryson too. I feel like people don't like him, but I would get kind of annoyed if people were intentionally just calling you the wrong name. I don't know if I'd kick them out, but I could see where he would be coming from. But ultimately, I do think that they are both kind of having a good time with it, and I don't think it's hurting either one of them to kind of have this going on and get people talking about it. Yeah,
they're building clout. The PGA Tour, nobody's talking about that $40 million incentive of being more active on social media to really pump numbers up online for the PGA Tour and beyond. So to have Brooks and Bryson, these two young late 20-year-old individuals that a lot of the kids are looking up to, and a lot of the guys that are in their 30s, 40s, looking back at Brooks and Bryson as this like fun rivalry. The appearance online is that they're sort of, kind of bickering and fighting at each other. But I think behind the scenes, this is all very elaborate and very planned out to get some of that money for the social media incentive.
Yeah, I mean, hey, it's fun to watch. I think, Jacob, who's on the podcast all the time, he mentioned it's just fun for the sport to be able to have rivalries where you typically wouldn't have rivalries. I remember talking to a pit crew member, Ryan Flores of Brad Keselowski's car. He said the toughest part about rivalries in NASCAR and golf is you actually have to dislike the person. In other sports, you can just dislike the other team, but in esports, you almost have to dislike the person or at least act like you do. So I think it's fun to kind of watch that transpire. And I actually think there might actually be a little bit of, hatred from Brooks towards Bryson over some of his different tactics, with the way he responded after the metal cleats on the concrete in the interview and losing his train of thought and all that stuff. People are like, what did Bryson say? I'm pretty sure it was Bryson was wearing metal spikes. He's the only golfer that wears metal spikes still. And he was walking on the concrete, and Brooks just heard it and was like, that's just so ignorant and so unnecessary. Why is he doing that? But so I'm going to go with my winner here. This is as sure of a lock as I've ever been in this. I'm going to go with Xander Schauffele to win this tournament. Out in California, he's from out there. He plays extremely well out in California. He's played the U.S. Open 4 times, and he's never finished worse than 6th in any U.S. Open, which is extremely impressive. And in the Farmers Insurance Open back in February, he finished 2nd. He's finished top 15 8 times in his last 8 starts. Since the Farmers Insurance Open, he is just playing unbelievable. He has just not gotten over that hump to be the winner. I think this is the spot for him to win it at Torrey Pines. So Xander Schauffele, my winner for the U.S. Open. Let's get into some bold predictions, bold takes, whatever it may be. Mike, I know you got a good one. I want to hear it.
So I'm going with Bryson DeChambeau with a missed cut this week. With the power off the tee, I really feel like he doesn't have the accuracy that a lot of the other guys have, and I feel like he's relying so much more on the distance versus the accuracy, and I think that's going to hurt a lot in the rough. I think he's going to have a lot of up and downs for par versus a 1-putt birdie.
Mm-hmm. I like it. Bryson misses the cut. Kyle, you got anything good, bold-wise? Nothing?
No, I was trying to think, like, if I wanted to go with someone missing the cut. I could see, like, someone like Jordan Spieth, who's been playing well lately, maybe faltering there, missing the cut, or like Tony Finau or something, but nothing too bold, really. As far as dark horses, maybe like Corey Connors, someone like that who's been sniffing around, or Cam Smith. Guys that have been playing well, they hit the ball well, and just like haven't gotten that big win yet. Kind of always rooting for someone to win their first major when I'm watching it, because it's always an exciting time. So one of those guys could also get it done.
No, that's a good point there with Corey Connors. He's been like top 20 for a while this season. I'm actually kind of curious to see where Patrick Cantlay falls in this. Obviously coming off the win, but where he is going to fall in all this. My bold prediction is going to be Justin Thomas missing the cut. Obviously, he's a fan favorite, but he's only played here twice. He missed the cut back in 2015, which was his most recent trip. So I'm sure he plays here in his off time where he can get out to the course and hang out and have fun. But he does not have much tournament experience here. Missed the cut most recently in 2015. So that's my bold prediction there. And I'm curious to see what Hideki Matsuyama does coming off the Masters win, if he kind of stays in contention as a dark horse as well. But anything else from you guys as we close out episode 95 here? Anything else? All good?
All good from my end.
Awesome.
Yeah, just looking forward to watching it, and thanks for having us back on for our expert opinions.
Yeah, expert. I love it. Hey, great hat, Mike. Love the hat. Great stuff. Yeah, expert opinions. I just love having fun with it. Appreciate you guys being here. Fans watching, please subscribe again. Please follow. Please do all that good stuff. Show us to your friends. Tell us you hate us. It's whatever you want to do. Just comment and share and subscribe as always. And go enjoy some golf. Go enjoy some other sports. There's tons of sports going on. Hockey playoffs. My Lightning are already down 1-0 in that series, so go enjoy Game 2 of that this evening. And most importantly, like I always say, go make this world a better place and take care. Thanks.
How can I be the man when you're the man? How can I be the man when you're the man? How can I be the man when you're the man?